Once upon a time, in a small village called Umuaro, there lived a hairdresser named Nneka. Nneka was famous in the entire village, not just because of her exceptional skill at braiding hair, but because of a strange rule she had in her salon. No one was allowed to use a mirror. Before you enter a salon, you will hear her yelling, "Don't bring mirror into my salon, no. Drop your bag at the door." This rule made her salon very unique and different from the others. Nneka's salon was located at the edge of the village, near a large mango tree. Every day, women and children would line up outside her salon, waiting for their turn to have their hair braided, cut or styled. They would queue as if there is no other hairdresser in the village. The salon was a simple hut made of mud bricks with a thatched roof and colorful beads hanging at the outside. Inside the salon was beautifully decorated with cowrie shells, bright fabrics, and wooden carvings. Very beautiful salon. However, as beautiful as this salon is, there was no single mirror in sight. Nneka had always been clear about her rule. "No mirrors allowed in my salon," she would say with a smile sometimes. Everyone in Umuaro knew that Nneka was the best hairdresser in the village, and perhaps even in the neighboring villages. People from other neighborhoods would come to her salon just to get their hair braided. Her braids were always tight and neat, her cuts sharp and even, and her styles creative and beautiful. Yet, the lack of mirrors always left her customers curious and puzzled. One day, a young lady named Ada, who had recently moved to the village, decided to visit Nneka's salon. She had heard stories about the mysterious hairdresser and was eager to see if they were true. Ada was a curious lady, always asking questions and wanting to understand everything around her. When Ada entered the salon, she immediately noticed the absence of mirrors. She sat down on the wooden stool and Nneka braided her hair. As Nneka's hand walked swiftly through Ada's hair, the young girl could not contain her curiosity. "Auntie Nneka," Ada began hesitantly, "why don't you have any mirrors in your salon? How do people know if they like their hair?" Nneka chuckled softly. "Ah, my dear Ada," she replied, "people don't need mirrors to know when they look beautiful. When I am done, they will feel it in their hearts. Beauty is not just what you see, but what you feel inside." Ada was still puzzled, but decided to remain quiet. She had heard from the other villagers that Nneka was very wise, and she did not want to appear disrespectful by questioning her further. When Nneka finished braiding Ada's hair, the young lady ran her fingers through the neat cornrows and smiled. Even without a mirror, she could tell that her hair looked wonderful. Other hairdressers in the village did not find it funny that people would queue on a long line in Nneka's salons and won't even look at their side twice. Speculations about Nneka's hair salon began to spread. As the weeks passed, Ada began to hear more rumors and stories about Nneka. Some people in the village whispered that Nneka's salon was bewitched, that she used magic to make people's hair look good, and that was why she didn't need mirrors. Another said Nneka is using people's destiny. That is why she did not allow the use of mirror in her salon. Others said Nneka was hiding something, and that was why she didn't allow anyone to see their reflection. Ada's curiosity grew stronger with each passing day. She decided she needed to find out the truth, no matter what it took. She started to ask around, speaking to other older women in the village who had been going to Nneka's salon for years. One day, Ada spoke to Mama Ifeoma, an elderly woman who was known for her wisdom and knowledge of the village history. Mama Ifeoma was sitting under the shade of a palm tree, weaving a basket, when Ada approached her. "Mama Ifeoma," Ada began, "can you tell me why Auntie Nneka doesn't allow mirrors in her salon? I've heard so many stories, but I don't want to believe." Mama Ifeoma looked at Ada with her kind, wicked eyes and smiled. Ah, Ada, you are a curious one, aren't you? Well, let me tell you a story, but you must promise not to judge Nneka too harshly. Ada nodded eagerly. I promise, Mama. And Mama Ifeoma began a tale. Many years ago, when Nneka was just a young girl, she was the most beautiful girl in the entire village. Her skin was smooth like silk, her hair was long and thick, and her eyes sparkled like the stars. Everyone admired Nneka, and people would travel from far and wide just to see her beauty. But as Nneka grew older, she became very proud of her looks. She would spend hours in front of the mirror, admiring herself and making sure every strand of her hair was in place. She began to neglect her chores, her family, and even her friends, all because she was obsessed with her reflection. One day, a strange woman visited the village. She was a wanderer, a traveler, who had seen many things in her lifetime. She saw Nneka admiring herself in the mirror and approached her. My dear, the old woman said, you are indeed very beautiful. But beauty is not just what you see in the mirror. It is what is inside your heart that truly matters. Nneka ignored the old woman rudely and continued to admire herself. The old woman shook her head sadly and spoke again, this time in a voice filled with power. Since you value your reflection so much, let it be the only thing you see. And with that, the old woman vanished into the thick air. Nneka was left standing in front of the mirror, but something was different. No matter how hard she tried, she could not look away from her reflection. It was as if the mirror had trapped her. This turned into weeks, and Nneka became a prisoner of her own vanity. It was only when Nneka's family destroyed all the mirrors in their home that she was freed from this curse. From that day on, Nneka swore never to look into a mirror again, and she vowed to teach others that true beauty comes from within. Ada listened to Mama Ifeoma's story with wide eyes. She now understood why Nneka had a rule, but she still felt that there was more to the story. Why had Nneka chosen to become a hairdresser of all things? And why did she keep her salon so beautifully decorated if she didn't care about appearances? Ada decided to visit Nneka's salon again, this time with a plan. She would try to find out if Nneka was hiding something more. The next day, Ada went to Nneka's salon, carrying a small hand mirror hidden in her bag. She was able to sneak in with the bag. Ada entered the salon. Nneka greeted her warmly and asked her to sit down. As Nneka began to work on Ada's hair, the young girl felt her heart race. She knew that what she was about to do could get her into trouble, but her curiosity was too strong to resist. As Nneka braided her hair, Ada slowly reached into her bag and pulled out the hand mirror. She held it up to her face, eager to see her reflection. But as soon as the mirror caught her reflection, something strange happened. The room around Ada seemed to blur, and the mirror in her hand began to glow with a strange light, and an evil spirit braiding her hair. Suddenly, the reflection in the mirror was no longer her own. Instead, it showed the face of an old woman with closed fingers, the same old woman that Mama Ifeoma had described in her story. Ada gasped and dropped the mirror, which shattered on the floor. Nneka stopped braiding and turned to look at Ada, her eyes filled with sadness and fear. What have you done, Ada? Nneka whispered, her voice trembling. You should not have brought a mirror here. I told you, it's not allowed here. Didn't I? Ada was too shocked to speak. She could hardly believe what she had just seen. Nneka knelt down and picked up the pieces of the broken mirror, her hands shaking. I thought I had escaped her curse. Nneka said, tears welling up in her eyes. But it seems that the old woman's magic is still strong. The mirror you brought has awakened something I had hoped was gone forever. Nneka explained that after the old woman had cursed her, she had spent years trying to find a way to break the spell. She had finally managed to free herself by destroying all the mirrors in her life. But she had always feared that the curse might return if she ever looked into the mirror again. The reflection that Ada had seen in the mirror was not just an illusion. It was the old woman's spirit, still bound to Nneka by the curse. Nneka knew that the only way to truly break the curse was to confront the old woman's spirit directly. But she also knew that doing so would be dangerous, for the old woman's magic was powerful and unpredictable. Why did you become a hairdresser, Auntie Nneka? Ada asked softly. If you wanted to avoid mirrors, why choose a job where people want to see how they look? Nneka smiled sadly. Because, my dear Ada, I wanted to teach people what I had learned the hard way. I wanted to show them that true beauty is not what you see in the mirror, but what you feel in your heart. I wanted to help them see that they don't need a reflection to know they are beautiful. Ada was silent, feeling a deep sense of guilt for what she had done. But Nneka placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. It is not your fault, Ada, Nneka said. You did not know. But now that the curse has been awakened, I must find a way to end it once and for all. Nneka decided she would go on a journey to find the old woman's spirit and confront her. She knew that this would be a difficult and dangerous task, but she was determined to be free of the curse that had haunted her for so long. Ada, feeling responsible for what had happened, begged Nneka to let her come along. She wanted to help in any way she could. After much hesitation, Nneka agreed, knowing that Ada's courage and determination would be useful on the journey. The next morning, Nneka and Ada set off on their journey. They traveled through forests, across rivers, and over mountains, following the whispers of the winds and the guidance of the stars. Nneka carried with her a small pouch filled with herbs and charms, gifts from Mama Ifeoma to protect them on their journey. As they traveled, Nneka told Ada more about the old woman. The old woman was not just an ordinary traveler. She was a powerful spirit who had once been a guardian of beauty and wisdom, but she had grown bitter and vengeful over the years, angered by the vanity and pride she saw in the world. The old woman had cursed many others before Nneka, each time trapping them in their own reflections until they lost all sense of who they truly are. Nneka had been one of the few who had managed to break free, but the old woman's spirit had never fully released her. After many days of travel, Nneka and Ada finally reached a clearing in the middle of a dense forest. In the center of the clearing stood a tall ancient tree, its branches twisted and gnarled. Nneka knew that this was the place where the old woman's spirit resided. As they approached the tree, a cold wind began to blow, and the air around them grew heavy with a strange, airy silence. Nneka and Ada stood at the base of the tree, their hearts pounding with fear and anticipation. Suddenly, the wind grew stronger, and a voice echoed through the clearing. It was the voice of the old woman, cold and hollow, as if it came from the very depth of the earth. Nneka, the voice whispered, "You have returned. Have you come to admire yourself once more?" Nneka stood tall, her voice steady and firm. "I have come to end this curse once and for all." The wind swirled around them, and the figure of the old woman appeared before them, her face twisted with anger and resentment. "End the curse?" The old woman sneered. "You think you can escape from me so easily? You were vain and prideful. Nneka, you cared only about your reflection, and now you will be trapped in it forever." But Nneka was not afraid. She knew that the old woman's power came from fear and vanity, and she was determined not to let those things control her any longer. I have learned my lessons, Nneka said calmly. I know now that true beauty is not in the reflection, but in the heart. I have spent my life helping others see their own inner beauty, and I will not let you take that away from me. The old woman's face twisted with rage, and she lunged at Nneka, her hand outstretched with claws. Nneka was ready. She reached into her pouch and threw a handful of the herbs and charms that Mama Ifeoma had given her into the air. The herbs created a cloud of shimmering light that surrounded Nneka and Ada, protecting them from the old woman's wrath. The old woman shrieked in anger, but she could not break through the barrier of light. Your power comes from vanity and pride, Nneka said, her voice strong and clear. But I am no longer that person. I am free from your curse. The old woman's figure began to fade, her power weakening in the face of Nneka's resolve. She let out one final cry of fury before disappearing into the wind, leaving the clearing silence once more. With the old woman's spirit gone, Nneka and Ada knew that the curse had finally been lifted. They had faced their fears and emerged victorious. Nneka felt a great weight lifted from her shoulders, and she knew that she was finally free. The journey back to Umuaro was filled with a sense of peace and relief. When they returned to the village, Nneka's salon was waiting for her, just as she has left it. The villagers welcomed her back with open arms, eager to hear the story of her journey. Nneka continued to work as a hairdresser, but now she allowed mirror in her salon. However, she still taught her customers the same lesson, that true beauty comes from within. The mirror were there, but Nneka always encouraged her customers to feel beautiful in their heart first before looking at their reflection. As for Ada, she had learned a valuable lesson as well. She realized that curiosity was a good thing, but it was important to be respectful and careful in her search for answers. She continued to visit Nneka's salon, and the two became close friends, bonded by the journey they had shared. And so, Nneka's salon became even more popular, not just for the skillful hairdressing, but for the wisdom and kindness that Nneka shared with everyone who entered. The villagers of Umuaro knew that they were not just getting a haircut or a braid, they were learning about the true meaning of beauty. And so, the story of Nneka, the hairdresser who didn't allow mirrors, became a beloved folktale in the village, passed down from generation to generation, teaching children and adults alike that the most important reflection is the one in your heart. This is the end of the story, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching and you learned a thing or two. Please let me know the moral lessons you learned from the story in the comment section. Also, please like and subscribe to this channel. I will see you in another story. Till then, bye for now. Stay blessed and positive.